Hey everybody, welcome back to JC3 Cards and Collectibles. And if it's your first time here, thank you very much for checking us out. If you like what you see, hit that sub button. If you like the content, hit that like button. Let me know that you're into some of the stuff I'm sharing with you today. Well, we are at the end of a long, busy week. So far in our series this week, we've covered all our sports sales for the week, and that leaves just one channel left, our non-sports channel, which could be anything not related to sports. And sometimes we will find that non-sports can be kind of, sort of related to sports as well. Isn't that right, Stu? He agrees. It was a week dominated by our sports channel. There was so much going on in the sports world. There was the NBA All-Star weekend. We have Daytona scheduled. And actually, I think Daytona, that got rained out on Sunday and moved to Monday, but still drove a lot of excitement in the racing world. We've got a new release from Topps Chrome for F1. We had spring training starting for baseball and a new release from Topps. Their flagship product was released this week as well. So just a ton of stuff going on in the sports world. And one might ask, does the non-sports stuff get forgotten about with all that activity? Well, to that, I would say, no. Not quite forgotten, but certainly wasn't as strong as we see in some weeks. I got shut out in one particular category that I usually have some pretty decent sales in. We've corrected that already this week and had some sales, but last week, no Star Wars sales. That's usually one of my most consistent sellers in the non-sports world. So that was a little interesting, but right away, as the week closed and I started the next week, had a Star Wars sale started off right away. So just a little gap in the road for whatever reason. Back on track with that now. All right, so we're gonna walk you through all of our non-sports sales for this week in just a moment. We'll walk you through how we listed them, the prices they sold for, and you'll get a good look at the names and the card designs, card brands that sold this week. And we will be back with that right after this. Welcome back to JC3 Cards and Collectibles. Thank you again for joining us here today. This is our last featured sales video of the week. Every weekend, we like to go through the week that was in our sales here at JC3 Cards and Collectibles. Share a little bit of the information from our sales in the hopes that it might help you if you are doing some of the same things. But also, it's just really cool to talk about cards and look at some different cards. I think one of the things I really enjoy about this hobby and this business is there are so many different cards that I come across. I'm looking around me. I have cards to the left of me, cards to the right of me, stuck in the middle with you. I guess that we could make a song about that. But there's just so many cards. I mean, I can reach over here. And here we've got some listed racing cards. You see some black and white Ray Wave. We see some blue Sapphire in there. We see some legends. I mean, just one quick handful. So many different options. Over here we've got some muscle cars. I mean, just whatever you want, the card world has it. And today we're going to finish up the weekly review with one of the most diverse channels we have, the non-sport channel. There we could have anything from a Star Wars card to something based on a movie to Garbage Pail Kids to musical acts. You just never know what you're going to get in non-sports. So why don't we go ahead and get started and dive into those sales for this week. I will be happy to share those with you right now if I can get them to come up on screen here. There we go. So here we go. I don't want to do the Dak Prescott now. I should say I really want to do it, but I'm going to spare you from it. I've done that enough lately. So here you see our non-sports channel. Really some fairly even splits because there's not a whole lot of volume behind it. But the pro wrestling cards took up a full 50%, but with kind of little volume, that just took a couple of cards to be half of all the non-sports sold this week. Then we've got what I call the entertainment category. That just doesn't fit into one of those branded categories. A lot of times it's based on a movie or a TV show, something like that. Anything in entertainment. And then we've got some DC and some Marvel cards. Marvel cards go pretty consistent for me. There's a lot of options on Marvel. So that is a good play if you want to get started in some non-sports. Professional wrestling is not a huge seller, but it is steady volume at a lower level. We offer quite a bit of wrestling offerings here at JC3 Cards and Collectibles. Every week we sell a few, but we don't. They're not a big seller, and there's not a lot of high dollar cards as well. We've got a couple autograph cards that do all right, but most of these wrestling cards are fitting into that low end market that is kind of the core of our business. So again, half of it wrestling this week and then a little smattering everywhere else. Why don't we jump into the details of the cards that sold this week? So there you see it. We've got, what do we got? 7 cards this week in the non-sports channel. We'll go through each one of those here and give you the detail on it. Again, sharing this gives us an opportunity to show you how we go about listing cards. So we've got the actual eBay listing title here. And then we've got the item sales category column here, which tells you what we sold it for. And then a little bit of information on kind of the marketing strategy behind selling some of them, whether they sold organically, with promotions, if the seller, myself, initiated the transaction, or if the buyer initiated the transaction. So here we go with our non-sport, and we'll start at the top of the list with 2022 Panini Chronicles Illusions WWE Dude Love. Dude Love. If you're not familiar with Dude Love, and I'm circling him right now here with my mouse, top row, second one in. Dude Love was one of 3 characters that Mick Foley made popular in his illustrious career as a hardcore champion. Dude Love was kind of this 70s throwback character, wore the tie-dye, was easygoing. That was one of his characters. Another one was Cactus Jack. Bang, bang! That's what he would do all the time as Cactus Jack, who was kind of this rough and ready character, kind of like the old West, what you'd see in a saloon, like always looking for a fight. Loved the hardcore stuff. And then, of course, my personal favorite was Mankind. He would come out in, well, essentially what were sweatpants, but he had a button-down white, like, dress shirt, and a tie, a black tie. And then he had this, like, leather mask he would wear to cover his face, almost like the Man in the Iron Mask. And he was eternally tortured soul. And he was fond of saying, "Have a nice day." And his best friend was Mr. Sacco. He had a sock he would pull out of his sweatpants, put it on his hand, and talk with it. And his finishing move as Mankind was the mandible claw. So he would take Mr. Sacco on his hand, and he would grab your lower jaw and stick his fingers right into your mouth and squeeze with Mr. Sacco on his hand. It was not only an uncomfortable move to be put in, but there was the added insult of Mr. Sacco on that. So there's your Mick Foley lesson for the day. But the first sale we're talking about is Mick Foley as Dude Love. And Dude Love sold for $3 this week via promoted listing. Number 2 on our list was kind of a surprise to me. I wasn't sure if this would sell when I listed it or not. The tipping point for me was it was a parallel. It's the Pyro Parallel. So number 2 on the list is 2022 Upper Deck AEW Pyro Parallel of announcer Justin Roberts down here in the right-hand corner. So Justin Roberts is an announcer for AEW. I don't feel like he's hugely well known. He's not Jim Ross or Jerry the King Lawler or who are some of the other Corey Graves now has turned in a heck of an announcer. He's not as well known as those guys. And I would dare say that when I watch AEW, Justin Roberts doesn't really capture my attention at all. And he's a ring announcer. He's not even a commentary announcer. I think he's a ring announcer. But I sold his card this week for $2.25. And that's one of the things I really find amazing about this business. Most of you, if you follow my channel, you know we work very closely with Adam over at the Dollar Box. Feel free to check out his store as well, the Dollar Box. And check us both out on Wednesday nights on the Dollar Box Live. We've got a 2 to 3 hour live chat extravaganza every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Central. We spit a little news, some nonsense, and hopefully a little knowledge as well. And our man Stu is with us too every Wednesday. So we always say there's a card for everyone. Our job is just to find them and send that card home. So that's kind of what I did here with Justin Roberts. That's how I see that. So Justin Roberts sold for $2.25. Who knew that I would be able to move a ring announcer card? But I took a chance on it, and here I was rewarded with it. It sold by promoted listing as well. So I did have a little help from eBay finding that buyer. But heck, you know, that's a pretty cheap buy. I think I got that out of a blaster box. So maybe 30 cents a card, something like that. 20 cents, 30 cents a card. To be able to flip that for $2.25 is, you know, acceptable when you're looking to be a volume seller in the low end market. So don't sleep on those ring announcers, I guess, is the moral of the story there. Up next, we've got a 2022 Panini Chronicles WWE Charlotte Flair. This one did not surprise me. Charlotte Flair is one of the best sellers out there in the WWE universe. Doesn't matter if it's a base card or a parallel. There are buyers out there for it. You can see Charlotte here in all her ring wear. She's got the colorful flowing robes. She sold this week for $2.25 as well. So that's one of those cards. If you can get a lot of Charlotte Flair, they don't sell for a lot in a base version like this. But if you can sell 100 of these, now you've got something. And that's the kind of mover Charlotte Flair is. In fact, a lot of the female wrestlers in pro wrestling right now are outselling the male wrestlers. The female women's revolution has really taken root and hit the ground and kept on growing since a couple years ago. All right, up next, we don't even have a card. So we are JC3 Cards and Collectibles. Why the collectibles? Because we wanted to open the door to be more than just cards. And sometimes we find some things out and about, just randomly come along some things, and we say, that's cool, man. That's a little Carlito sticking with the wrestling theme. So here we have a Curious George collector drinking glass. It was a Welch's Jelly Jar glass, and this is number 2 in a 5-glass set. You can see it here on the left-hand side of the screen, the orange label on it, the cartoon of Curious George. These are are pretty cool. We were fans of Curious George in our house. My oldest son Creed, he watched Curious George nonstop, and I actually remember when I was a kid, I thought Curious George was pretty fun as well, and I remember watching a lot of it. So there's a little family history behind that. My wife came across these when she was out and about, and she brought them home to me and she said, "Hey, do you think that we can find a forever home for these?" And sure enough, I had four, I think four, actually, it might be a 6 glass set. I think she brought home 5 of them. I have now sold 4, and I'm down to my last one available, I think. As I look over there, oh, my count is off. I have 2 left, 2 Curious George glasses left. So selling 3 of these so far in the last month and a half. I don't think that's so bad. Like, I think my wife made a good find there. Those of you who have been with us before know my wife Jenny and both my boys, Creed and Caleb, help with the store. It's a family business that we all participate in. So this is one of those finds my wife got and brought home. And together we worked to list that out there and find the right price point. And we sold this for $14.99. Again, we did end up going to some promoted listings on this, but it just shows the power of eBay. You know, they're much more effective at getting that out there to more people to see it. And eventually that leads to a sale. Up next, we've got our DC offering. We've got a 1995 Fleer Batman Forever retail Robin Under Glass card. So that's in the top row here on the right-hand side of the screen. A nice picture of, I believe the actor who plays Robin is Chris O'Donnell. Riddler's got him captive there. I've got quite a few of these Batman Forever cards. I haven't listed that many yet. I just haven't gotten to it. But usually on Wednesdays, I try to list non-sport here at the store. And I try to grab a few Batman every week, just kind of randomly. I don't list a ton because there's so many different varieties of non-sport cards that I try to take a little bit of everything every Wednesday. But I listed this one out there a couple weeks ago, I think, and it sold this week for $1.79. Up next, we've got a 2016 Topps Archives 1988 Topps throwback design, that anniversary set that we're all familiar with if we are baseball collectors. And this is a Bull Durham Nuke LaLoosh played by Tim Robbins card. This is on the far right, top row, far right. You can see Nuke LaLoosh. That's a mouthful. Nuke LaLoosh out there on the playing field. Could be on the mound. Looks like he's in between hitters. He's got a big smile on his face. An iconic character from the movie Bull Durham. Actually picked this and about 5 others of these of different characters at the Eau Claire card show last month. Check out my pickups video if you haven't seen that yet. We went through everything we picked up there. I just knew when I saw this, one, I could get it at a really good price, but 2, I knew that that's an iconic baseball movie that is timeless, and there will definitely be fans of that movie out there that would be interested in these cards. This one, the Nuke LaLoosh, is, in my opinion, probably the premier one of the 5 I got. Crash Davis would be another one. Crash wasn't available. In fact, I didn't see Crash in this set when I researched it. But Nuke LaLoosh is the top headliner of the set, and he went for $5.99 this week. And our last card in the non-sport channel this week, we've got a Marvel card. Every week I pretty much sell a Marvel card or 2 or 3. That's what we say around here in the Northwoods, tree. That means 3 if you're not from around here. 1992 Comic Images Silver Surfer Prism, and this is the checklist card. So right in the center of your screen here. This is a really prismatic set. Every card looks like this in that set. I believe it's like a 72 or 75 card set, and I bought the whole whole set from a dealer at a card show in Oshkosh last fall. Finally got around to listing a bunch of them, and I've been selling a few so far. But this checklist is probably one of the best ones that I like to see sell, because when it's not a character's image, sometimes you're not sure, like, is there really a market for this or not? But checklists, I will tell you, if they are not marked up, have a market all their own. Whether it's baseball, sports, Marvel, WWE, although I don't really see WWE checklist cards now that I think about it. But a checklist for any set has a market, because if you're a complete set collector, you want that checklist as well as both one, a completionist to complete the set, because they are a numbered part of the set. But two, they're a handy reference when you're trying to build that set as well. And oftentimes it's hard to find an unmarked one. These things get checked off by, just your run-of-the-mill collector or kids, and after a while, they're pretty tough to find out there where they're in pristine condition. This one I made this sale for $2.50. The best part of these last two sales, the checklist and the Nucleoluche card, both of them were organic sales at full price. No negotiating, no extra fees to eBay for promoting, just a clean, pure sale, which is always the best way to make a sale. So I hope you enjoy our non-sports this week. Those are fun, different categories for me. The wrestling, we're a big wrestling household. My boys love it. I used to watch it pretty intensely. So to see those wrestling characters go is great. I'm a huge Batman fan. So to see that Chris O'Donnell Robin card go is great. I'm a big baseball fan. Played a lot of baseball. Played in high school. Played amateur as an adult. So Bull Durham is, touches the heartstrings for me a little bit. And then Marvel Silver Surfer, just a really cool design in that set. And then Curious George takes me all the way back to my childhood. And that is really part of the joy of the card world, is I think there's a lot of these cards or even collectibles, these items that take you right back to being 5, 6, 7 years old again, and reliving some of those good times you had with those characters, or those athletes, thinking about that game you went to with your grandpa, or thinking about watching Saturday morning rock and wrestling with your uncle, or your mom sitting down with you to watch Curious George. All of those things are great, great memories. And this card hobby and card selling business allows all of us to relive this every day with these cards going through our hands. So really, really cool. Well, that's it for this week. That is our last video. You've reached the end of this week's series. Congratulations if you made it through all of them. If you like what we're doing here, give us a thumbs up and a like. If you're new here and you enjoy the content, smash that sub button. If you don't, I'm sending Stu out there. So until next week, enjoy your hobby however you like it, and we will see you next week. Peace out.